the best way to save is to make more money. I would say I grew up in an environment where it's okay to not have. Mom, my dad, and my 4 brothers used to live in one room. And yes, I've gone months on end. I've gone months without any real gig. If the ebooks are not selling, sell a course. Everybody, and once again, welcome to the Entrepreneurs Connect show. Of course, here we keep it real. We interview African entrepreneurs. We hear their stories, their challenges, their successes, and the lessons learned. Today is going to be another exciting episode because I have a super exciting and amazing guest in the house. But just before we introduce the guests, I want to beg you. We have noticed and we have observed that some of you used to watch the video, you did not used to like it. You used to watch the video, you did not used to subscribe to the channel. You used to watch the video, you did not used to leave a comment. We love your comments, we love your feedbacks, we love everything, okay? So I'd love for you to, right now, tap on that subscribe button. Click on it, subscribe now as I'm looking at you. Have you done it as I'm looking at you? Good. Now like this particular video and tap on that bell icon, for notifications whenever we publish an episode, okay? If you're listening on Spotify and Google Podcasts and any of those guys, make sure that you subscribe as well. Thank you very much for your time. Now back to the show. Today we have a very special guest in the house, somebody I respect and honor so much, somebody that I've been following for a while, a man of timber and caliber, a man of plywood and sawdust. A man of many parts. It's all right.
Multi-dimensionally yours.
It's all right.
I want to welcome Joshua Triumphant to the show today. Hello, Joshua. Thank you for being here.
Thanks, Joseph. Thanks for having me. Good to be here, having this amazing conversation that is very much needed.
Yep.
To say
if
I say so myself.
We always have private conversations, and whenever we're opportune to sit together, we talk. I'm like, people need to hear these things that we are saying. So I'm glad you're on the show today.
All right.
And I'm ready to take you deeper.
Let's go deeper then.
Let's go, bro.
Deeper, Port Harcourt.
All right. So Joshua, have you been doing business since you were born? How did this journey start for you? First off, give us a breakdown. What was life growing up like for you?
Growing up. Okay, so I grew up. I would say I grew up in an environment where it's okay to not have. If you grew up not having in an environment where everybody has, then you are going to be. It's more painful. But if you grow up in an environment where it's okay to be poor, I don't want to use the word poor anyways, but that's the kind of word that really describes the experience. My mom, my dad, and my 4 brothers used to live in one room. We used to live in a yard, not compound. There are two different things.
Yard. I can relate, bro.
We used to live in a yard. So that's the experience. But I don't have any memory of it per se, because it just did not keep. I don't know. For some reason, I didn't keep a lot of those memories. But I did not grow up having so much. I have 4 brothers. I have 3 brothers. So myself. So we have 4. What else? I went to a secondary school. I went to a private because my mom did not finish her education.
Okay.
So she insisted that we had to have the gift that they gave to us was education. So she made sure I went to a very the most expensive primary school in the area and stuff like that. Also wanted to go to the best secondary school. It was the thing of that was one of the few things she was proud of. My parents were proud of, to make sure we have good education. So that's pretty much I didn't grow up with much, Went to public schools all through my life, But I don't believe I had a terrible upbringing. I don't believe I have no memory of lack, because like almost all Nigerian families or Nigerian parents, they all do their best possible to give you the best experience you can have, especially as a kid. So pretty much went to Futo, left Futo.
What did you study in Futo?
Microbiology.
Microbiology.
Industrial microbiology. That's
Industrial microbiology. How does that relate to what you're doing today?
It has no connection whatsoever with what I'm doing today. But I studied industrial microbiology. But I've always had a management mind.
Okay.
I've always had I think if I want to rewrite my script, I would really, really love to study social science, psychology, economics, manage some form of management. That's what I found out on campus that gives me, that puts me in the best position to succeed on any level when I'm interacting with people, either leading a team, providing direction for a team, or working with people. That's given me some of the best memories, and sort of that's put me in the best position to always succeed when I'm in such positions. So,
what do you do right now? And when did business start for you?
Okay, so after we confirmed that I was gonna be doing this, I actually thought about it, because some of the questions are predictable. You can always want to. So I was like, okay, how do I tell a very good story? But I cannot just tell stories. I have to be as factual as possible. So I still, till this day, don't consider myself so much of an entrepreneur. I do believe that there's a misconception. The misconception is that for most people, or in my own experience, I would say I'm an accidental entrepreneur. So I started out wanting to just solve my personal problems. Why? Okay, so I left school, came into what you call the corporate environment in a sense, and then business for me started I think in 2013.
Okay.
Now before then, I was in a different kind of business. All right. Now all that led to me wanting to for so long I kept asking myself, okay, how do I solve my own personal problems? And to do that, I realized, of course, money is step one. If you think about it, money is step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I in trying to solve my personal problem, I then had to use the skill and knowledge that I had. So that's why I say I'm an accidental entrepreneur, because the first money I made selling my knowledge or selling my skill was to offset a debt. So I was owing my friend 10,000 naira, and then she was in a bind, and then she said, okay, so I like the way there's something you do, I like how you think, and can you teach me to achieve it, to achieve some level of clarity? And I said, yes, I can do that. I can really do that. She said, okay, so I'll pay you 10,000 naira for you to teach me. I was like, since I'm already owing 10,000 naira, let's just use that to offset it. And that was the first trade I did, to make money. So when that happened, it occurred to me, I've been here developing this skill. I've been here building all of these things, and so I can charge people for it. It was
light bulb.
It was a very funny thing, because I sat down there and I said, I could teach this girl this thing. If I was sleeping, I could teach.
Welcome to Kaizen Digital Academy, your one-stop African platform for online education. At Kaizen, we are built for the African market, teaching people how to make money online using high-income digital skills. Do you want to learn and implement faster? Do you want to increase your earning capacity and gain digital skills? Then Visit kaizenacademy.co, create an account with us today, and voila! You are on your way to making your dreams come through with Kaizen, the African School of Digital Skills.
And I thought that, and then the debt was offset, and that was like what the first time it occurred to me that, oh, I can build a business around this thing. Now, the reason why I was in that position anyway was because for me, my own story is different. And for so long, I've always not wanted to talk about it. But my story is different because I started my life pursuing ministry. Okay. Do you understand? I started as a pastor, through campus, walking through campus. Mm-hmm. Do you understand? So by extension, when I came out of campus, we just went straight into ministry. That was all we did. That was what my life was about. If you're a pastor for 10 years, you know what it means. Like your whole circle is built around and invested around ministry. Yep. It's like a bubble it's like a bubble that is hard to come out of. Do you understand? So when I started finding sort of like a new stream in my mind about what I wanted to pursue, and how I started not wanting to, teach or preach the word. Instead, I wanted to teach management. I wanted to teach, life principles. I wanted to teach leadership. I wanted to teach development, either personal development or business development. Or I started pivoting out of like that central theme into this. So, I went to Digital Leadership Academy, which is like a big transition point in my life. And then I came back and then I set up a consulting company. And in the midst of all this, that was when this happened. And then when I set up the consulting company, that's how business started for me. So I think that's pretty much a lot of story. I've already said so much. I've never said this to anybody in anybody's face. So
what's the name of your consulting company you want to set up?
The first name of my consulting company, what was it? First name was Triumphant Consulting. I mean, go figure. But that's not what it's called. That's not what this is called or registered right now. So it's called Autumn Rain Consult.
Oh, I see. Now, what was like the first big deal for you in the consulting company?
The first big deal. Oh man, which of them? The first big deal I would say was what I would consider big in terms of its impact on my life would be in 2019 when I was actually, and that's why my own entrepreneurship story is funny, because I had always believed that real consulting is sort of like it doesn't help. How will I explain this? Like, for the most part, consulting is just assessing a problem, providing solution. And if you are dealing with statistically, you are dealing with people and organizations who will not or might not be in the context to execute the two solutions to their problem. So most organizations pay consultants money to tell them problems that they already know. All right? So now, because of my background in ministry, it's difficult for me to do things a type of way. So what I did was to look for opportunities to absorb me into organizations short term, to not just talk about solutions, but to move organizations from point A to point B. So I got what I would call a big break or a big deal. I got to do that, for I've done that 4 times now. I've gone into an organization as a consulting partner, stayed with the organization for about a year, and then what I did was to working with the team and the organization, create real solutions, train the team, execute projects, move it. Of course, the deliverables are always agreed upon that by a year's time, what we would achieve is XYZ, which always ranges from revenue. Of course, revenue is important. The next thing is always like the quality of the team that will be left behind at that time. The third thing would then be sort of like new product development or new business development.
Now, you said this big break came in 2019.
The first one was in 2017. The second one was in 2018. The third and fourth were both in 2019.
Good. So 2013 you started, 2017. What in those 4 years that it seemed like nothing was happening?
All manner of things. So in those 4 years, of course, finding my feet, trying to understand what the consulting market was like in Port Harcourt, which was like a whole big revelation because it was almost, I wouldn't say it was non-existent, but it was, to me, the kind of quality work I wanted to do, right? Now, when I started, of course, in that time, I was writing business proposals, writing business plans. My friend had a business, right? So after they have run the business to the ground, then they will call me and say, Joshua, what do you think? Can you come and help us find why? Then I will sit down and try to calculate how come you're not making money. So it was pretty much like consulting at that level in all those years. But I was bent on really looking for my own way because of the quality of work I really wanted to do. I want to move people from point A to point B, whatever that point is in their life. I want to always move organizations from point A to point B. That is so deeply ingrained in sort of like my own philosophy of business because of the kind of industry I'm in and because of the kind of work I want to do. So in those 4 years, it was really about sort of like finding my feet, making mistakes, holding events. Now, trying to use events as a platform to sort of like improve your brand, making mistakes, not having a well-developed back end to sort of like support the front end you are pushing, not using social media correctly. All of those things were just like up and down in those 4 years.
What was life like for you? Like personally, financially, and all that?
It was not always fun. I was broke. I was homeless. I used to have like one blue shirt. If you probably check through my social media, you see that blue shirt. I wore it a lot. It was a nice blue shirt though, but do you understand? But in that time, I felt bigger than I ever felt. I felt bigger than I feel now. Because those moments I considered to be real moments for me. Because now, I was living with my friend. We were living together in a flat. So can I even share this story? Will you see this? Okay, so he got married and he told me, boss, you will come off my house. So with no real plan and all that, the day I moved my bag from his house was the day the first time I ever appeared on TV. And they called me to come on TV and I literally picked out my blue shirt, put it on, dropped the bag somewhere and went on TV. And I found those moments to be interesting moments. So about the quality of my life, at that time was not necessarily great. People did not believe that they needed to pay for advice. Because that's how I presented myself then. Like I was giving advice. You understand? So if I meet someone and we talk about where they are in their business, I just wanted to like dish it out. I had no structure or I had no sense of mind then to say. But because I was even too hungry, I was just looking for opportunities.
What was the cheapest you've ever charged to help somebody out?
The cheapest I ever charge is not to charge. You understand? What do you mean cheapest? I mean, if you give me 5K, I will advise you for the next 3 hours. Do you understand? So then those 4 or 5 years were like really horrible times. if you look at it that way. But for me, I think there were group moments, obviously, trying to find my way, trying to find some balance to what I was doing. It was not until I went into the first organization I would try to really solve some problems that I started like earning, and then that sort of like gave me the next opportunity, and that gave me the next opportunity after that. I think so.
Now, my question is, you've talked about going into organizations, helping them move from point A to point B, another. What skill sets did you have to stack up personally to be able to get you to do the things that you do?
See, Joseph, I believe that people are not hard to work with. Like, I think that alone gives me sort of like an unchecked confidence, right? I always believe that people are not the problem.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Entrepreneurs Connect show. My name is Clara Onyekachi and today I want to introduce you to the Viewer of the Week challenge. Now, what's this challenge about? We want you, our viewer, to watch every episode of the Entrepreneurs Connect show, take a picture of yourself watching the show, and make a post on Instagram tagging us at the Entrepreneurs Connect show. At the end of the week, we will of course decide who our viewer of the week is, and this viewer gets a gift from us. Excited, right? Now, do you want to be the viewer of the week? Who would be the viewer of the week? Let's find out when you join the challenge.
I always believe that. Now, it's a funny way to look at things, because almost every entrepreneur will tell you that people are their problem, or most people believe that if they have better people, they will do better. So when I meet business owners who are struggling, okay, so let me just answer the question. Let me not tell you any story. So the skill that I have had to, I think the biggest skill that I have had to learn is how to, and I don't know if that can be identified as skill, but it's how to see problem, how to see the real problems, and not get carried away by what a business owner is telling you. I think that's just a perspective, like real perspective, not just because a business owner can tell you now that we're losing money because our salespeople are not working. But if you then sit down with the business, you can really find out that the salespersons are not the problem. It's that the product is the problem, or some other issue, or even the business owner himself or herself is a problem. All right, so I think being able to cut through and to see connection between disparate things and things that don't seem like they are connected. I think not everybody can see that. I mean, not to toot my own horn, but not everybody can look at the problem and say, no, this is not the problem. This is not the problem either. The problem is behind where nobody can see it. Yeah. I think that has been the one key, if you want to call it that, key skill that has helped me along the way.
Interesting. Have you started any business that failed before?
I mean, name it. I always believed that, making money is essentially looking for something to sell. And I've also believed that you don't have to build you don't have to build a business around something that you are trying to use to make money. So let me explain that. So I run a consulting company that we're always looking for clientele around sort of like solving business problems. Mm-hmm. Now, early enough, I figured out, okay, I have to look for something to attach to this business that generates revenue without sort of like taking 10 meetings trying to convince a business owner that they need a solution that you obviously can see that they need, but they're just not seeing it. So I've sold all kinds of things that I will not name here. I've sold a lot. I've tried to sell a lot of things. Some of them did not sell. Some of them are still in my house. I've tried to. It's just around trying to look for things to sell.
I'm curious. What have you started that failed?
What have I started that failed? Okay, so I at the point I tried to sell shoes. I still have the Facebook. I still have the Facebook page, and I still get some comment on those Facebook pages still now. But myself and my friend who is in Lagos right now, we couldn't just make it work. He had the connect for the shoes. I was supposed to use social media to get people to buy and all that. So that's one among many things that I try to use to.
And when failures happen like that, how do you handle failure?
Personally, I learned early enough that failure is just like another thing. Failure is just like, breakfast, dinner, lunch. It's like an event in your day. It's an event. It's something that happens just along your journey. All right. So I learned the lesson. Move on. That's just me. I never even consider it deeply enough. Quite frankly, this I'm asking now and thinking about it now. I just realized that we never even really talked about it. I just sort of moved on. Hey, this thing is not working. Let's not waste our time. We left.
Now, does this ever happen to you? So, being an entrepreneur, you don't have a predictable salary date.
Of course.
You get? So, your salary can come at any time. You can hit some big deal, and then there'll be this window where there's no deal coming in.
Yeah.
Right? And then you begin to question yourself, am I really who I think I am? Am I really worth my onions? Do you go through this circle? Does it happen to you?
Of course.
Where you start doubting yourself, and then suddenly you have one alert again, and you're like, I'm the man. How do you navigate that period?
Of course. So, as a life principle, I try to live a flat life.
Okay.
What that means is no matter how much I have and how much I don't have, I try to live around a particular range. Meaning, okay, so, and yes, I've gone months on end. I've gone months without any real gig. I've gone months but what I've done is to make sure that, hey, you know the terrain you are in, the business you are playing in. So when you do find a real gig that pays you some 8 figures, 7 figures, whatever figure, live flat. Because you cannot necessarily control when the next day will come. What you can control is making sure that you are putting yourself out there as much as possible, and you are reaching as many business owners and as many people.
When you say live flat, though, it sounds.
It's just what I mean by that is, no matter the height of the income or the
depth of the income is that.
No, I don't want to use depth. Okay, I can't find the word. So regardless of the fluctuation, just try to live on a straight line. It means if you are spending, that's your own personal life now. If you are spending, let's say, I know it's almost impossible now because of the economic situation right now, but let's say if you are spending 50K, stay on your 50K. If you make 5K, stay on your 50K. If you make 1 million, stay on 50K. If you make less than that, stay on 50K. So I'm saying now, business operation as well. For if you have a team, you have a company. Also, you have to think in that line. All right, employ only what you need. Do you understand? If you focus only on your real core operation, really on what makes you money, and not aesthetics. I'm not even saying aesthetics. Like just hiring people for hiring's sake.
Yeah.
What I learned in this year, in all those years, is that most business owners are lazy. It's a hard thing to say because they're hardworking people, but most business owners employ just to fill up space. All right. So if you employ only what you need, or employ only who you need, and do the hard work, when you realize that if you are at this point, for those who are at that point, you are starting out, you have to do a lot. You have to wear a lot of hats. Now, if you do that, if you wear multiple hats and hire only what you need, you can maintain that. You can try to be as flat as possible. So that is me. So based off living like this or thinking like this, it always reduced the impact of staying weeks and weeks without gig. And sometimes you can stay for months. And then some old person you have done something will just call you probably for a role you have stopped doing.
Yeah.
So
It happened to me recently. So I'm preparing to come to the office one of these days, and then I used to do graphic design some years ago, and somebody from my old clientele, he works with the Nigerian police, and they're having this stuff in Abuja and something. He now sent a sample to me. I said, "Do you still design? Can you get this done for me? How long would it take you to get this done?" And I looked at it. My bro, it take me like 45 minutes to get this done. And I can do this. I told him yes. I told him yes, I did it. He paid, put the money in my pocket. I came to work.
So there was somebody I used to work with earlier on. So we tried to sell a course. So it was my number that is on the course. It was my number that is on the course. So just occasionally out of the blue, I will get somebody who will call me and say, "Do you still
Yes, we're selling this.
do you still sell these course?" Oh yes. Oh yes, we
are selling it.
Yes. So like in those moments that comes in and you just take that money and just try to forge, just like move, just forge ahead. Yeah, so yes, you do have those moments and those times, as an entrepreneur. Especially if you are running because this is the real thing now, a digital-based business where you are competing with their new entry into that business space almost every day.
True.
New digital entrepreneurs are being formed. Moments like this week, somebody has trained another 5,000 persons, and they are all coming into this same space.
They are coming for your markets.
They are coming for the same thing you are doing, the same model. Maybe you have a few tricks up your sleeves, yes, but it's the same model. And if somebody is teaching them that, and I hope we'll get to talk about this at the end of the session. Somebody is teaching them this, and because there are new entries into the business every day, so like the market is getting thinner. You understand? So it means you have to either continue to do something that you otherwise would not want to do, in the sense that you have to either continue to go around the same sort of like model, or my point is if you are not tweeting something within your offerings all the time, people are coming for that. So it's getting like you can stay weeks without getting something really tangible. And I believe that the antidote or the solution for that is to try as much as possible within your personal life as an entrepreneur and within your business life as an entrepreneur, to try to be as flat as possible, thinking always about the fact that deals will not always fall on your laps.
True. Well, what's your attitude to personal development? Do you think that the level at which you're developed personally affects how well you're able to do business?
Of course. I believe that everything on this earth rises on the development capacity of anybody leading anything. I believe that in fact, right now, I'm restructuring my whole offering, trying to focus on personal development. Because more and more people are being pushed out into this, because the entry point into the digital business is very low. What does that mean? It means, anybody with a smartphone and internet can set up a digital business.
Yeah.
So because the entry point is pretty low, it means more entrepreneurs are being formed. Now, but that the entry point is low does not mean that the demand on you is easy for you to really make your headway. So I found a group of persons who have spent months and months trying to figure out this digital business thing, and they end up in frustration. And then I meet them and I sit with them and I sort of like show them that the real gap is their ability to identify sort of like the opportunities that that is in front of them and how they can navigate their way. Now, they made some adjustments and they are doing better. So I figured that, man, this personal development conversation, we cannot tokenize it, right? It's such an important thing to me, because I really believe that anybody's success if well traced, began at a certain point of taking their life more seriously, taking their personal development and personal growth more seriously. The moment they did that, it changes how they look at the problems in their life. It changes how they look at the problems that they engage with every day. It changes everything. So the personal development of every entrepreneur, I believe, impacts directly on the amount of success they are able to achieve.
What are the key areas do you think entrepreneurs who are looking at getting better should focus on?
Anybody, entrepreneurs, but entrepreneurs specifically, and I will say about anybody. So, entrepreneurs specifically, I really think it's about it's funny, but it's how to think. Now, in my experience, not everybody knows how to think. Everybody believes they are thinking. Should I say that? Everybody believes they're thinking, but not everybody really knows how to think in a way that is productive. So, as an entrepreneur, I believe how you think about problems and how you think about leadership, I think those two things are the things that determine your success on the short term and on the long term. How you think about problems and how you think about people, leading people. How you think about problems in the sense that, let's say you run an ad that is not working, or let's say you have to choose between putting money here or putting money there. So like how you think through issues and the quality of that thinking impacts short term and long term on your success and how you think about people.
Yeah.
I think those two things you have to. Again, many people don't even believe that they need to learn it, which is in itself creates bigger problems for them. So I think, how to think much more productively, how to think about problems and how to think solutions through like correct analysis of those problems. I think that in my experience impacts directly on the quality of any entrepreneur's success and how you think about people and how you think about leadership. I think those two things are very important.
Well, what books would you say have helped you so far in your personal development journey?
The best book I've ever read, and I say that all the time, is 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
There's something about this book. Every person I was listening to Busit and Bekoyo last week, and this was the first book you recommended.
That book, it's a gem. It's a gem. It's such a beautiful book, well-written book. The late Dr. Covey let me not just realize the book anyhow. It's just a powerful book. It's a well thought out book. It teaches about principles, not just about personal hype and I can do all things. It really teaches groundwork, step by step, deep introspection and rescripting your life out of just perspective, out of just your environment, out of just your experience, and trying to figure out what are the principal path to your journey. It's a beautiful book. I think I read the book once a year.
Beautiful.
Almost every year.
Is there another book you'd recommend?
Is there another book I recommend for personal development? Sincerely, no. And I've read a lot of books. The reason why I'm saying it is because I don't think that I'm thinking about, let me see if I can actually really recommend another book. I can't recommend any book right now because I'm not thinking about it deeply enough. But the reason why I wouldn't even recommend any other book is because what I learned, or I would say the biggest lesson I took out of like my development years was that context matters too much to development, especially personal development. So for some persons, it is 1, 2, 3. For some persons, it is 1, 4, 2. For some persons, it is 1, 6, 7. For some persons, it is 10, 9, 5. So the whole development code that you must figure out must be driven by the point at which you are in. Now, most personal development books out there will give you like a map. That map is not easy to read when you are trying to figure out your journey. Now, 7 Habits of Highly Effective Persons does such an amazing job to take you through the journey. It's a big book to read anyways, but it takes you to the step-by-step, sort of like where you are, trying to identify, how to find your path and all that. So I believe that book is good. Now, can I recommend any other book right now? No.
Is there anything you wish you knew before you started this entrepreneurship thing that you feel would have helped you?
I would have spent more. I would have looked for a very high quality, like a real quality consulting company I worked for.
As an employee. What do you think it would have helped you achieve?
The whole consulting business is referral based. I think so. Anyway, so I think it will have given me a much more realistic approach to finding business owners, trying to solve those problems. I think if I had worked with a real consulting company at first, I would have seen like more practical ways to have gotten to this point I am in now.
What would you say has been your biggest win since you started business?
Getting married. No, on a serious note, my biggest win are the quality of life of the people I help with my knowledge every day. I think nothing even comes close.
So it's never about the money for you?
The money is good, but I really cannot. Nothing comes close to the quality of life. Let me explain why. For me, teaching someone. Okay, so there's somebody who is going through my training right now. She used to earn 45,000, and she used to work in a place that that I know the CEO. All right, so I had consulted for the CEO a couple of times, but the CEO, with all his good intention, is the problem of the organization. As a consultant, that's a nightmare because it's always the CEO that pays you.
Yeah.
So for a consultant, that's a nightmare. So how do you tell, especially if it's like a
yes, I get it.
If it's not like somebody who has a board or anything, or who has a management team, so how do you tell that person that the person is the real problem? Anyway, so when I started training, I said, I'm not going to use it. I want to apply. I want to move. I want to do a lot. I said, let's really focus on you right now. So take this training and change how you are seeing things. Now, it's been 1 full year. It was 1 full year in June. Right now, she's probably earning around the ballpark of $1 million a month. That was a direct result of real engagement and sort of like rescripting and redirecting one life. I find too much joy from doing that. Now, of course, she paid. Now, it wasn't. Do you understand? Of course, it was a paid training, but the money is long gone.
Yeah. I usually say that when it comes to many of these things, the customer is usually the biggest winner.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, because they pay the money, you probably throw it into a landed property. You probably
did something instant, or just bought something on the short term. You understand?
But long after they pay that money, they keep reaping the benefits of whatever it is that is the solution that you're providing.
Yeah, whatever she has paid me, she has done probably like 100-fold of it. But the joy, the having to come back to talk about it, like, hey, look at where I am now. The new problems she's facing are of course, problems will always come around, but they are all on a different plane.
Yeah.
So I think for me, nothing comes close to that. Looking at that level of improvement in that short time, it also it's like a validation of also like what you do and what you're offering. So.
I get it. Beautiful. I like to close off with this question every time. By the way, this has been a very, very, very amazing and insightful session. And if you have learned anything, I'd love for you to leave a comment below. Tell us, what have you learned from this session so far? Leave a comment below. I'll be watching. Now, I like to close off by always asking, what is your attitude to saving and investment like? Because we have talked about this anyway in passing, but people make a bulk sum of money, and as entrepreneurs, some of us are extravagant, proud, thinking that the next one is on the way, coming sharp. So when you make money like that, what's your attitude to savings and investments?
I'm what a Twitter buddy would call a stingy man.
Twitter buddies.
Because my approach is to not just even live within my means, is to live, if possible, under my means. So now, when it comes to saving and investment, let me answer it this way. My ideology around saving and investment is simple. The best way to save is to make more money. It means that if the total sum of available money to you is not enough to, with all your discipline, pay for the cost of the operation of your life that makes you effective, you shouldn't kill yourself or stress yourself too much about savings. Let me explain that again. If you make 50,000 naira and the total cost of operation that keeps you effective is 65,000 naira. Excuse me, no matter what you do, you cannot save. So you understand? So as an entrepreneur right now, if what you are making and the cost of keeping you effective in life, the gap is not much, then focus on continuing to grow your income. Now, at once, the cost of running your life and the amount you make consistently, after you remove the cost of running your life, I'm not talking about running your life and like buying a car or living in Banana Island. No, I mean like running your life, I key what is effectively enough to put data on your phone so that you can go back to your ads, or enough to keep data on your phone so that you can watch this podcast. Like, there's a way you have data on your phone, you can watch podcast with joy, you cross your leg. But you understand? Like, if you are not making enough,
not social media bond.
No. If you're not making enough to live effectively, you cannot save. So at that point, your biggest savings is to continue to make more revenue. Now, when the cost of running your life, when you take it out of your income, there's now enough, or there's an extra.
Yeah.
Then you can now cut that extra into certain percentage and begin to save from there. You understand? So that's why I said the best way to save is to grow revenue. It gives you something to save. All right. So that's my own thinking. Now, when it comes to investment, on the other hand, I believe that it is all those things are in levels. Yeah. All right. So once you are making enough to save, then you can have enough to invest. All right. Now, there are a lot of investment right now. There's an investment bubble. There's an investment bubble being pumped into this country in terms of many conversations. So one has to be careful in terms of what you consider an investment. All right. So calculating inflation, checking dollar to naira, global economics and all that. So if you are buying shares, you have to be careful around what quality of shares you buy, how you analyze it and all that. So, but real estate is good. But I personally don't consider it to be a great form of investment for growing entrepreneurs. Personally. Now, I have a lot of real estate people, and everyone is sitting beside me. I'm not saying real estate is not a good investment. But if you want to, how will I say it? Let me not say it. So, like,
real estate is good.
It's good. Real estate is a great, like, that's the first one. I said the first thing I said about real estate, like, it's a great way
I like real estate, but not in the way that a lot of people think. So when people hear real estate, they think there's a way to spawn off quick cash.
It's not. That's the issue, because most real estate companies and agents are selling it like a Ponzi scheme. Do you understand? So I personally think you have to be careful around thinking that real estate is, you want to real estate your way into short-term millionaires. So that's the thing.
These things take time, 5, 10 years, 15
Again,
years.
that's the thing.
It takes time.
The land that my family house is on right now was bought for 65,000 naira. Now it is worth above 6.5 million naira in a time period of about 2 or 3 years, 6 years or thereabout right now. Now that land will probably be worth 10 times of that in 10 years.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So that's the reason why I didn't want to go into it, because now this is not a show, but this is not a conversation about
Real estate.
not even about real estate, about teaching something.
Yeah.
It's about just asking me a question about what I think. You understand? That's why I didn't want to go too much about it. So, but as an entrepreneur, if you have money and you want to preserve it, so you look for real tangible investment, seek professional advice, and then make good commitments.
Beautiful. This has been one very insightful show, and I love that we had the conversations we had so far. What will be your last words as we bring the show to a close?
What will be my last words? Entrepreneurship is not a straight line, and don't feel. I tell people all the time not to feel too much pressure. Don't allow yourself feel too much pressure. All right, now be as focused as you are able to be. Grow through your growth phase. There's hardly anything you can do about it. Your phase of not enough funds, your phase of not enough clients, your phase of not being able to figure it out, your phase of not being able to like pinpoint what are your true growth activities in your business that you can focus on, test this, test that. Those phases, you have to go through this. Sometimes there's nothing you can do about it. Just go through it, learn what you need to learn, and continue to move. And don't stay stuck. Don't stay stuck on one business you are passionate about, or one business that you think there's money in. Allow yourself the opportunity to test a lot of things. Samsung did not start up making high-end phones. You understand? Most companies that you are seeing making billions today did not start out making those things. Some of them have had to pivot multiple times. So whatever you are going through right now, no matter, don't allow yourself get stuck by this thing is not working and change, move. If the ebooks are not selling, sell a course. If you are not getting enough sales deals, look for something else. Just continue to tweak and don't allow yourself to get trapped by the brand you are building. This is my brand, so because of that, I know that. This 40 minutes, 1 hour is not even enough to talk about the extent of all the things I've had to do and what I'm even doing now. I didn't even explain the things that are making me money right now. Some of them are not tied to consulting. You understand? A lot of the money I'm making is not tied to consulting right now because so don't get stuck. That's the last 10 words I'm saying. Don't get stuck on one thing. Push yourself, learn new one, pivot, learn a new skill, find a new way to add something to what you're doing, and continue to make sure that there's money in your pocket and there's growth in front of you that you're pursuing.
Beautiful. Thank you very much once again, JT, for coming here.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. Hope to have you again.
Thank you for having me.
And that's it for this episode of the Entrepreneurs Connect show. Guys, make sure you like this video, make sure you're subscribing to the channel, and make sure you're back here again next week, Friday, 7 p.m. WAT. That's West African time, because we have more for you. Till next time, take care of yourself, and cheers, guys.